If you could envision a society or a culture, however you want to say it, an age or whatever, where human beings actually recognize the resources that we have and actually had the purpose of bringing to fruition people's potentials as the focus of the society. I mean, how would that work, or how do you see it?
I would think that we would need certain things to begin with. We need a family system that is based upon what is rational and not what is emotional, greedy, negative. Because that's where we all come from. So if our family structures have a positivity, a rationality, a love, that sort of coherence to it, that's a beginning. For social structure, we need a democratic structure, I'd say, and a small one, based on small localities, with something built into it, so that none of those localities become too big. Australia's too big, Germany's too big, New South Wales is too big. Our valley here of 600 people, it's about the right size. Maybe the Blue Mountains, 3,000 people, just about, but that naturally divides into two areas. So you're back again with sort of 1,500 people, and that's about your tribal maximum too. Then within that, of course, you can have interconnections any way that works, assuming we maintain our technology, assuming we don't have to reinvent it all because it's been lost. Then there are a million ways in which those small communities can be cohesive, talk to each other, share what they've got. It won't work as long as we remain blind to our own inner needs. The key to the Buddhist philosophy was very simple. It is that if we have desires, we create suffering. Then, of course, we try to hide our suffering. And we try then to we try to pretend to be something else. So that I'm suffering because she did this, and he did that, and I can't admit it because it's too painful, so I'll build up a little mirage, a little mask, and that's me. And to make me stronger, I'll become an architect, or I'll become a historian, or something else. Right. Now, that, if it's going to work, if any sort of real humanity is going to work beyond the way we continue to work nowadays, we need to go into a totally different family structure. One in which, if the child cannot understand something, is full of grief, traumatized, whatever, that is healed then and there. Not left until it becomes a fixture inside the psyche. And I don't mind what sort of ideas anyone may have about a future society and its structure and so on. It's irrelevant if we don't start with human beings who are no longer traumatized. We're all traumatized, and we try to cover our traumas. Now, that is the reason, I think, fundamentally, for misery, richness, poverty, war, you name it, there it sits.
The Crucible Centre is then really like one of the little sustainable villages. And since each one is unique, can you tell us a little about the specialties that you provide from the Crucible Centre here?
Oh, the Crucible is a vessel. It's an alchemical term. You take what they call in alchemy dross, the rubbish that many of us are, and you pop that into the vessel and you heat it. And it separates out. And what you don't want, you take off the top and throw away, and the gold that you get at the bottom, you polish and keep. That's basically what the Crucible is. We offer a place where people can deal with their dross, all their traumas and the games, and try and go beyond them to discover the gold that's in all of us. So in that we are a tremendous resource. And we have a number of skills. The most effective, and I've been a therapist now for 25 years, and I've done 40 years of therapy on myself, I find the two things that are most effective for us are sand play, because they show the picture absolutely clearly and show exactly where we need to go in dealing with that picture, and then voice dialogue, because it allows us to shift the energies inside the person into a right order. Meditation's part of it, dance, rebirthing, a lot of other things are part of it. Constellation work with families, energy, all of these things are part of it. And we use all of them. But the key ones are these two, because they give us a actual laser image of what's needed.
Could you speak directly to the needs for human beings to go through initiatory processes to become adult? Because there's this illusion that we're adult when we reach a certain age. That's provided by modern culture. So what does it really take to become adult?
Oh, dear me. My wife had to leave me. That was my first step into adulthood, and by that time I was 50. My second step was when I tried to deal with that, and in encounter work and so on, had to face who I was. And my third step has happened over the following 40 years. How do I come to know myself? How do I deal with all the hangovers of the past? Adulthood, it's a slow growing process. You talk of initiation. Without being in a society which will treat you differently after you've had your initiation than before, with different expectations of you, the initiation is a game. I need more than a game. When society, like we say with Aboriginal society, when I'm initiated, I lose a tooth probably, depending which tribe you're in, and then, go on man, bugger off. You have to cut that bit, won't you? Depending which tribe I'm in, the society will know I'm now a man or a woman. And the moment that is achieved, I no longer do any of the things a child does. Like Shakespeare says, he makes it very clear on the same story. But at that point we know we have changed deeply, but more importantly, everybody else knows it. So they keep us up to it. They expect us to be different. And so it becomes more readily acceptable to become adult. An initiation in itself, it's just one more act. The social context has to be complete for that to happen, and then to be reinforced. We grow up in habits. We grow up with all sorts of little games that we play, and to recognize the games we do play, and then to be able to say, I'm playing those games and I don't have to be. Why am I still doing it? Can I change it? This is adulthood. And it doesn't happen, I don't think, unless you're strong enough at some level to face the consequences. And initiation helps, but it helps again in the social context rather than individually.
Given everything that you know, have seen, what you've learned, given everything, what would you recommend to the viewer in terms of what they can do?
I suppose if you want to encapsulate a long life, it is that I've been bored when I've done the same thing more than once. Now, this is my quality, personally, John James. It doesn't apply to everybody. I'm an Aries. I kickstart things and then I walk on for somebody else to continue them. So that's how I've approached things. I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to do a big building. I did a big building, Reader's Digest head office, and that was enough. It was time to stop and do something else. Most people wouldn't say that. They would say, oh, I've reached this pinnacle of success, and now I can get clients and do many more big buildings. and it's going to be fantastic. But that's when I stop. So I've come here, built up the Crucible Centre. We did it in a certain way with a lot of teaching, lots of teaching modules. That came to a point where it too had to stop. And we just now work with people. We don't teach. So changing things, getting out of step with yourself, I think is pretty important in growing up. That you need to do something that is really deeply upsetting to your principles or your habits or your normal way of being. And I'm speaking for personally here, this is no cardinal rule, but I have done best when I've done a hop, skip and a jump and ended up somewhere else. New things are exciting. New situations are very uncertain. You don't know where you're going. You're trying to pick your way through the debris of what you were. And yet, everything I've been has been part of the foundation of where I went to next. There's nothing I've done in which I haven't used what I have done before. So it's not as if you're suddenly thrown on a scrap heap and then asked to start again. You're in fact climbing upon the older structures that you've put together. You know, it's like I can't climb a ladder until I've got the rung in front of me that I'm going to climb up to. But for me, the crucial thing has always been never been afraid of taking an antisocial or unexpected or sideways step. If it feels right, do it. Causes mayhem. Other people have to adjust their steps. But how many lives have I got? I've got this one. And if the power in me is strong enough to do something, then that's a good reason for doing it. And if you end up on your own, well, that's where you end up. But you've got to follow that maverick that sits inside you. He's your best friend.
Thank you.